Welcome to the Downtown Jiu-Jitsu Club podcast. I'm your host, Adam Redzovic. I'm here with my good friends, Mr. George, El Protein Poppy, Mr. Doug.
There it is.
And we have a special guest, Senad, on the dashboard today. Senad is cousins with Ibro. And first time here, so welcome, Senad.
Thank you.
And,
Thank you. It's nice to be here.
Yeah, we are at it again. We are doing this weekly. Every Monday we're recording and just trying to keep the lines of communication open and give us the platform to discuss, current events, future plans, etc. So, before we dig into all that stuff, how's your week off? Is it off to a slow start, good start, fast start? What's going on with you guys?
I spent the day at King's Spa yesterday, relaxed a little bit. Actually took like 3-4 hours to chill out, so I'm ready to attack the week. I'm ready to go.
Nice.
Yeah, I feel good.
Yeah, I went to that spot recess.
Oh yeah, 6 out of 10.
It's not good.
It's not the spot.
You know that spot where we did the recording for the graffiti area?
Yeah.
Across the street, there's this cool bar area where it's a whole bunch of shipping containers, and it's got a cool theme, but it's pretty whack. The only thing that's cool is the vibe.
Okay.
What is it, a restaurant or something?
It's like a restaurant bar thing.
Uh-huh.
Food was okay, drinks were okay, but
Yeah, that whole part of the city is developing pretty quick.
that whole area is pretty nice.
Yeah.
Fulton Market area.
I love that area.
I've never really been there. I explored there yesterday, and it was actually pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember. I feel like I am the old guy on the show, right? But I do recall that area being mostly factories.
Yeah,
and stuff
it's got that vibe.
I love that when a city has a factory area, and then the hipsters come in and they're just experts at coffee and smoking.
This would be a nice
meats
loft.
and they're like, oh, let me just get this cheap factory and I'm just gonna sell stuff out of it.
Like Green
I
Street
love it.
meets.
Yeah, it's exactly like that. If you go
Yeah.
to Brooklyn, that's what it's like too. It's just
That's
a bunch
Brooklyn?
of factory.
Yeah, like Dumbo.
Yeah.
That's what reminds me of the.
Dumbo.
Yeah, that's the part of Brooklyn, Dumbo, right? Or what's the one of the more popular spots of Brooklyn? With a W.
Ooh, I don't know.
It's probably
I
the
don't know.
best. Williamsburg.
Well, okay, yeah.
Williamsburg's probably the most identical to the West Loop. I would.
It's like
Super
Super
hipster
similar.
Yeah.
on the
yeah.
come up.
Yeah, I remember researching briefly. There is one particular person I think that was responsible for most of the growth in the West Loop. There was one visionary. I forget his name. Something we could probably look into. But yes, if I remember correctly, there was one person who started making the push to convert a lot of those factories into a district, shopping district, restaurant district.
It really is the best spot to open something, right? You're just
Big.
a big ass space.
Big
you can do whatever I want.
ceilings.
Yeah. High yeah, it's good vibe.
Yeah, wide. It's got that industrial vibe where a lot of the browns and the greens can match together.
You could just put Green Street. They just it's literally just a factory, but they just put a big bar in there and just picnic tables and
Cool little lights around everywhere.
Yeah, because if you cross over into the loop, then it's it's a concrete jungle, right? There's just buildings on top of buildings, but we still have a pretty good spacing, I think, when you compare us to New York or some of those other bigger cities. Our architecture is pretty clean. But yeah, you don't have much room in the loop. Definitely not as much as you get as soon as you cross over into the West Loop. A lot more space. But yeah, it's I pretty much just woke up not long before we started the show.
Are you a deep sleeper?
No.
So did you hear me when I came in?
I did, but I was trying to pretend like I didn't.
Oh, okay.
And
I was
then
trying not
go
to
back
make
sleep.
noise. I was lifting. I was like, I'm not gonna make any noise. So
Did you hear me when I came in?
You know what? I don't
Me and
think
George
so.
were talking.
I don't think so because I was pretending to sleep, then I actually fell asleep. And
works every time.
Yeah, I don't mind noise actually if I'm to fall asleep.
How weird is it that every single night you go and pretend to fall asleep and then you eventually do, but you do an act of pretending. You're like, well, this is how I sleep, right?
Today there wasn't no pretending. I knocked out. I ended up coming in early for a private lesson at 7 a.m. and I haven't been teaching private lessons for quite a while, and now I'm starting to put those into my schedule. So, but this is the first time I've done it. Mondays I usually come in here around noon, so there was a big gap after I taught.
Drink a lot of coffee.
I had one just before the show started.
okay.
I'll probably have a couple more before the day's
Yeah.
over. Yeah, I'm definitely in need of a reset. I think I'm at that point where I need a lot of caffeine to get
Yeah.
that same effect of the caffeine. So
Are you thinking about like getting off of it cold turkey, or like
Yeah.
just the first week or two is gonna be the hardest?
yeah,
Yeah, it feels like withdrawals.
yeah.
It is literal withdrawals.
Yeah. You get cold sweats and stuff, and you're like, am I dying?
Yeah,
Crazy vivid dreams too.
Mm-hmm.
and then probably from the sugar too.
You get a lot of sugar with your coffee.
I like black coffee,
Mm-hmm.
but I like sweets.
Oh,
So,
like with the coffee.
Yeah,
That's my thing too. Yeah.
and then that desire for the sweets will start to like, oh, you don't put no sugar in the coffee. You can have a cookie.
What's a wafer or two?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Balances everything out.
A nice pastry.
A biscuit.
yeah, but I think it's time, and the timing is working out good because we got our friends at Designs for Sport. They're helping set up the infrastructure on our website to start offering supplements. They sent us a bunch of supplements to try, and I kind of feel like it's time to get back on board, with all things.
Proper optimization instead
Yeah.
of just damn.
Yeah. Again,
Where's
this
that
is the
phone?
real deal. This is the Downtown Jiu-Jitsu Club. We are
Deny.
at the Downtown Jiu-Jitsu Club, and phone calls, guests, anything can happen at any moment.
It's all right. It only rings 3 times. It's okay.
But yeah, I think it's time to start cleaning up the diet and cleaning up the habits a little bit.
With that phone call,
If-
could have
if-
been like someone's calling in, our first caller.
If we all do it together, I feel like
What?
as the design for sports stuff comes in, like actually take the supplements together and like assess how we feel. Like I feel like it would help.
Oh, I'm down.
I'm
For sure.
I'm pretty on top of it already, but I mean
Mhm.
I would rather use our supplements. I right now I outsource supplements because
Yeah,
we don't have
same.
our setup.
Yeah, I
Mhm.
had pea protein. Like it was like I was trying to get like the healthiest one, the highest quality one, and it ended up tasting so nasty.
Mm.
It was like I forgot. It was like unflavored, or like the flavor was really bad, and like every time I drank it, it was just like ugh. But
Mm.
eventually, when you take something nasty, you just get over the taste.
Mm-hmm.
That's what
Like
happened.
liver, like
I
you with
mean,
liver.
Liver, pretty much, yes.
Wow, they really want to do jujitsu, don't they?
Yeah, it's an acquired taste on some of that stuff, right?
Yeah, I mean, for me, liver now, it's like I like it. I actually like the taste of it now. Like when I'm munching on these chips, I'm like, damn, I ran out already. But no, it's because the flavor, the seasoning, it's
Oh,
the
those are liver chips?
yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Did you
he's
think they were
he's
something
eating
else?
liver chips all day.
So how does it compare to like eating raw liver? Is it any similar? That aftertaste of liver to me is like.
Yeah, it's not as, how actual liver is kind of chewy, kind of like it disintegrates a little bit. This is just more like jerky, or it's like chips. It's crispy.
But does it have just like I'm thinking?
It's got the liver taste still.
Endless amount of that aftertaste.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I got it right
Oh.
now, but it's got onion seasoning and collagen on it.
Mm.
So if you get some sea salt and some onion on
Yeah.
it tastes good.
Mhm.
Yeah.
They're terrible at the end of the day.
But
They're
I mean,
so bad.
I like it now. I'm over it. So whatever.
Yeah, I think that mentality of it's not about the taste. I'm focused on what it's giving my body.
That's what I've been eating. How I see food. I see it more as what it's doing for me instead of like a mouth pleasure.
Do you guys notice the difference, like when you eat specific things, like you wake up the next day and you're like, oh, I feel significantly different?
Liver.
Liver.
I swear, bro. When I wake up in the morning, I'm like ready to do stuff. I'm ready to attack the day. That and a steak.
Mm.
Whoever that is calling, I promise I'll call you back the second the spot's over.
Yeah, for me, it's I think it's. I heard before it takes 21 days to make a habit. I think from my life experience, there's a lot of truth to that. Maybe it's 20, maybe it's 30, but there's a certain amount of sacrifice and consistency until you get into a mentality of like your mentality is changing. Like right now, because the caffeine, the sugar, and I think I'm gonna have to deprive myself of those things. Gonna have to go through a little bit of hell, and then you got your flow going. Like going to the gym, right? Like if you haven't gone to the gym in years, it's like climbing a mountain to just walk into the gym.
Yeah.
But if you start going consistently after a few weeks, it's going to be like climbing a mountain to stop going, because you're in your rhythm, your routine, and I think that's ultimately what has to be accomplished. Got to get that routine, the consistency.
I just recently took caffeine fully out of my diet. The first 2 weeks was one of the hardest things. Like legitimately sick, like going through withdrawals, like getting cold sweats, energy really low, like not depressed, but like definitely not on the higher spectrum of like happiness, you know, because it's just like and you feel your body like begging for it, because apparently like the half-life of caffeine, I think it's like 1 day, so like
12 hours.
Yeah, so like when you wake up and you're thinking like, oh, I'm groggy and like I feel I need a coffee. That's literally just the symptoms of the withdrawals from the coffee to get you to drink more.
It's messed up, but
It's
I mean,
weird.
the whole country runs on coffee, right? But at the same time, it's like it's so addicting.
I
Like,
was listening to this cool like history of coffee, and apparently like once coffee was introduced into the workforce, like the production.
is this from Caffeine, the book?
I think so.
Yeah, I just finished reading that book too.
It's so cool.
Yeah.
We should
This
put
is-
answer it and put it on the.
Yeah, you can toss it.
No, we might get pulled for. So yeah, we're here. It's probably, was it 3:30ish, 3:40. So some of those calls might be people who are showing up. We open at 4:15 today. Actually 4:15 Monday through Friday now. Monday through Friday, the afternoon shift at 4:15 starts with a cohort time. And there's been some people who've asked, like, what does that mean, cohort time? Essentially, it's just open gym or open mat. What we're trying to accomplish is similar to what we've had in the past. We've called it study hall in the past. Basically, it's a time when the gym is open, and we're going to do what we can do to encourage people to connect and make plans to come in and help each other. Maybe hold pads for each other, maybe spar with each other, work out together. Whatever you want to do, the gym is open. There's a staff member on site in case you need some direction, but it's not the same as an open mat. You know, open mat historically is, we would call an open mat, it's time for sparring. It's basically an hour of guys sparring. We call that randori session. So if you're coming for a randori session, it's pretty much going to be a lot of positional sparring and rounds of sparring. A little bit different than the cohort time or open gym. I think we're probably going to just call it open gym, open mat, just to make it a little bit more clear
Yeah,
moving
it
forward.
makes sense if people open gym, they're familiar with what an open gym is.
Yeah, and
Why'd you choose cohort time? What does that mean?
You know, a group of people can be defined like as a cohort.
Okay.
And something I noticed doing jiu-jitsu, as long as I've been doing it, and also having kids, there's some crossover. Like I noticed with children, if you want to do everything you can do to raise your child properly, you start reading and asking questions, and you know, I found out in that process that kids need structure. You have to feed them at the same time every day. You should put them to sleep at the same time, wake them up at the same time. Like that structure makes it so that their behaviors are more predictable. They benefit from that. If they're eating at random times and playing at random times, they're more inclined to wake up at random times and not sleep through the night and cry. So, but then imagine if you had your parents micromanaging your whole life. Like, there's going to be a time you grow out, you're not a kid anymore, and you're going to want to have your own say in what you do. And that reminds me of what I've seen on the mats. I think people, when they start martial arts, they do need structure. They're kind of like a baby. They don't really know what's going on, so they have to have some direction. But after, you know, coming and going for years, you start to see guys at the purple belt level, brown belt level, you start to see them start to like find ways to manage their own training, whether it's meeting their friends at the open mat or training at different places. But you see that you have to take account of your own journey, you know. At least that's what I've noticed, especially from the people who go the furthest. They don't rely on just what's taught in class to get better. They go and start, you know, buying instructionals and studying, and then you need a training partner to practice those moves on. So that's kind of observation experience was kind of at the heart of this cohort time. Just give you an opportunity to just get in here. You know, we have TV screens here. Put your instructional on. You know, hopefully people don't fight over the TVs. But we've been talking a lot about having our ambassador program take off at some point, and that's something we're going to continue to fine tune. But I think when we have our ambassador program running, can you imagine if you had a lot of ambassadors here who had keys to the school? Anytime there's a group of people that want to get together, if there's a large enough group, like, you can get in at any time, possibly. But that, long story short, that's kind of the vision. Just have the space open, let people do what they want to do. It's a little bit different than a structured open mat. So yeah, I have no idea how we got to that topic, but
I asked you what cohort meant.
Cohort. So that, yeah, basically the cohort time, open gym, open mat. The Monday through Friday, all the evening shifts now are starting at 4:15. It's going to be a little bit more consistent there at 4:15. A lot of things have been changing over the last several weeks, months, last year. But
so is it going to stay like this for a while?
Yeah, it looks like 4:15 is consistent Monday through Friday, and we're talking about just the evening shifts. We have 6:30 a.m., 7:15, and 11:30. But for the evening shifts is 4:15 across the board Monday through Friday, and then the classes I believe start at 5:15. Just people working on rough 9 to 4, 9 to 5, give them some time to show up. So yeah, what we have now on the schedule is pretty much the core of the schedule. But we had a fitness class last week that did really, really well, and we're trying to figure out how we're going to approach this long term. But
we have a vlog coming out with like showing that whole class and everything too.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, that whole event.
Yeah, that's something I hope that we're going to find a way to have it as a daily experience here. So people who've been along for this ride, so to speak, you know that we're going through a rebranding phase, and the whole world is going through a lot of changes post-pandemic. So we're still now trying to figure out exactly where we're trying to go. We have a lot of great ideas. The general vision is we want a space where there's more value than the value you're exchanging with us. We want to jam-pack this place with value. We're not so concerned about quantity. We want quality across the board, quality equipment, quality people in the space, quality instruction, etc. So, as I'm trying to figure out exactly how this is going to look moving forward, one thing that I really would love to have in a space like this is a program similar to like Tact Fit. That's something that my friend Alberto Crane in Los Angeles is putting a lot of his focus behind, and he's very passionate about. He's one of the first Americans to discover jiu-jitsu, to go to Brazil, and so he has an eye for value. He knew what jiu-jitsu was. He ended up sacrificing so much in his life. He moved to Brazil to figure this stuff out, and I see the same that same intensity, that same passion for Tact Fit. He had some health issues, and he's resolved them through the practice of Tact Fit. Tact Fit is pretty much like a mobility training. Like me and George were talking before the show, a very common pattern in jiu-jitsu and martial arts, I would imagine, is people go to class, they probably do some sparring, and then we usually sit on the side of the mats and have a conversation, and there's so much value in that experience, right? You're learning, you're training, you're conversating, but most of us, then that's it. Then you go home, you shower, go home. So we can get away with that stuff, especially if we're young, but if we're not putting in any time for, or considerable time for recovery, to kind of unwind all that, that's being done to the body, eventually you're going to start getting those check engine lights popping on. The older you get, I could probably get away with that once or twice. The third or fourth time, I'll start to feel things start flaring up if I'm not actively stretching, doing mobility work. So members of the Downtown Jiu-Jitsu Club, if you want to take it upon yourself and start studying, tacfit.com, you can download their. I don't have any association with them, professionally. I'm not going to make any money from you buying their material, but I firmly believe in the system. I think it's an integral part of our experience on the mats. I think it's like the glue that's going to keep us together. So if we had a bunch of members that were taking that stuff seriously, we probably would have those classes a lot faster, because we have a little bit of a support system. So I'm all for guys researching and exploring and seeking certification, because one day I think that would be great if we had certified instructors running TACFIT or TACFIT style classes here regularly.
I mean, you see Derek's a blessing.
Big time, yeah.
Like, people are working out and he just naturally goes, oh yeah, hop in, and he just starts orchestrating a class.
Yeah.
Just out of the blue.
Especially the stretches after class. Stretches I think that's so important.
Yeah, it's awesome. So more like,
yeah.
Imagine if we had 4 Dereks.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or one yogi.
But those, I noticed what they're doing, they would say, this is not stretching.
No, it's mobility work.
This is mobility.
Yeah.
TACFIT is more mobility.
Yeah, and
do they incorporate yoga in it, or like some? Because I think when I saw you do the warm-ups, there was like some formal position of yoga, like maybe with like the downwards dog.
yeah, there definitely is some crossover. I think the big difference is, this is something that my friend Chris Grayson was teaching me a while back. This is probably at least 10 years ago. He was saying that the research more and more is starting to show that dynamic movements are safer, and there's more benefit to dynamic stretching before working out than there is to static stretching. So for example, if I'm holding a stretch, counting to 10 to 20, just basically holding the stretch for a prolonged period, that would be called static stretching. Static stretching still has value, especially like after training, hours after training. But if you're right about to train, you're about to go and compete, there's more research showing that can, static stretching before competition, before activity, is starting to show that you're more inclined to injury. That was a little bit of a shock, because the way, pretty much every way I was exposed to is like, that's how we stretch before we work out. In gym class, in school, that's how we were taught. And
that was weird. Growing up too, like in school, like they would always teach you like stretch before class, like static stretching before.
That was the norm.
Working out. And then now going to school and then doing my own research and everything, like the same thing. Talking with Chris Grayson especially. Yeah, all the research is going towards dynamic movement, so you don't stretch too much, so your muscles aren't too limber. And
so your research is showing that too.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's like, I've been knowing that too. So I was always like, man, we shouldn't be stretching like this before class. And people would just, they're still stuck in those ways that they're just like, oh, I'm just going to do a static stretch here and there. Maybe like, if you have really tight hips, maybe stretch those a little bit, but not to the point like that where you're like getting a whole yoga session before active training session like that, especially like jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, that, and so that,
or weights.
Yeah, I heard that's the same thing that I was taught, and so yes, every now and then you have something that's like, wow, this is not normal. This thing is overly tight, Some static stretching, there's exceptions.
Right now, I'm training at GVN Performance with Jake Nitschke, shout out. But it's like static stretching. It's like long stretches, but it's more of like it's very active. So you're not doing dynamics like groiners to like opening up like that stuff, but it's 90-90 hip movement, and then he does like pails and rails. Do you know what those are? Like basically like you go in deep and then you put pressure against it. So you're actively like you're in a pigeon stretch, but you're pressing 80% into the ground, so your glutes firing.
Oh, so it's like PNF stretching.
That's what I thought. PNF.
And then
PNF.
pulling yourself in, like then now you're actively like pulling with your groin and your abs like in. So it looks like static stretching, but it's not. Like you're sweating.
It might be PNF, I think, or like some form of it.
Yeah.
Where basically, you use the resistance against it to stretch, and then you open up a little bit more because the resistance adding to it allowed you to open up more. Yeah. That's really good.
That is interesting, right? If you just stretch the muscle, it's not necessarily going to give you what you're looking for, right? It's so fascinating that there are techniques involved in increasing the flexibility, and I think genetically, static stretching has been super difficult and hasn't come easy.
There's some people that swear by just, like I've listened to podcasts on stretching, and they say that if there was one form that they would do, it would just be PNF stretching. They would say that that's like the best way in terms of what you're looking for if you want to get more flexible, faster, with like a better experience, I guess, to put it simply.
The thing is, it's wildly difficult.
It's
so hard to do it yourself.
Yeah, you need a partner for sure.
Yeah, like you need somebody to like timing it and like telling you and like forcing you to actually do it right.
Yeah, Chris Grayson, I used to always ask him after training when he was around, can we do the stretching, the PNF stretching? And then when he was doing it, I was thinking to myself, like, man, this is like a type of service. There's a lot of value to it because I started to see that I am increasing in my flexibility. There's something to this technique, or whatever you want to call it.
Well, now there's places like the Stretch Lab.
That's what I'm saying. Now I'm starting to see that.
I go there twice.
One down the block for me.
I go there twice a month.
And I was always wondering, like, what do they do? Do they actually go and you just like stretch for you?
PNF stretching.
Oh, okay.
They do it and then press into me, and they go a little bit deeper.
Yeah.
But it's intense. Like if you're trying to relax and get a massage and like open up a little bit, Stretch Lab is not for you.
You're there to work.
You're laying there and like you're breathing and like you have to focus because they're opening you up.
Yeah.
So what does that typically look like when you go there? Is that like you pay per visit, or
they have packs and they have monthlies? Yeah, I just do the two per month. Yeah.
Man, I was going to yoga 2 times a week at Export back like maybe a couple years ago, and during that whole month I was just training. I was going to jiu-jitsu as many times as possible and yoga twice a week, and I've never felt better. Like in terms of like how limber I was. Like I wasn't even going like crazy, but like I just felt like I was walking more upright. I just felt like I was able to walk without like, I'm tight here in my hips, especially my hip flexors.
Yeah.
Like I just felt more alive in a way.
I can't recommend the Stretch Lab enough. It's all because it's 50 minutes. They literally stretch you for 50 minutes. Like when's the last time you sat down and stretched yourself properly, breathing the whole time?
You know what
for
funny
almost
is?
an hour.
When people say, all right, let's stretch, they stretch for like 5 seconds, 10 seconds, and they're like, all right, I'm good. They call it a day.
I think from my experience, it's all math. If you go to 3 classes and you're sparring in 3 classes, okay, let's assume that's 60, 120, it's like 200 minutes or something. How many minutes are you stretching or doing mobility or in the ice bath or like doing something that's, because I think the older we get, there has to be a balance. If you're doing an hour of working out and an hour of recovery, this is kind of like what you were just describing. It seems like this is the perfect balance. You're getting the benefits of the workout. You can still walk straight and feel good, but if it's just all working out, then we're not feeling like that, I don't think.
To get like more into like the woo section of it, the area of it, it's like when a lot of the tightness, there's also a lot of like trauma inside of it. You know, a lot of tightness when you get like scared or whatever, you come in tight like this, right? But when you're confident and you're feeling good, you tend to open up more. So same thing when you're stretching and there's some difficult spots that you're working on, that tight area could be like you letting go of some some stress or some trauma or inflammation that's causing bad behaviors or bad habits or bad thoughts, negative thoughts.
Yeah, is that was it David Goggins was talking about that, or
I think so. Yeah, he was one of the ones that I remember saying something like that, where like there was just so much negativity that once you opened up, it's like
in the psoas muscle, right?
that's where I have my issues. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have that PSO right? So
Yeah.
right?
No, I don't have. But one of the students here used to have one, or he used to come here and he had one.
Yeah.
And it sucks. It hurts.
Yeah,
it hurts a lot.
It's I use it and it works for me.
Do you just like chill on it?
Yeah, so I every time it's like it hurts, and then you just relax, and before you know it, the muscle sinks into it, and you can tolerate it.
The thing is, I didn't know if it was hurting because I wasn't doing it right, or if it was hurting because like, man, I'm really tight.
Yeah, it's
Like,
in
I'm
the
really,
wrong
like,
spot.
Yeah,
It's
I'm
causing
like,
hernia.
I'm really messed up, or like it's working, you know.
It's
But it's really uncomfortable.
Oh, it's 4.
Yeah.
We got to get to work. We got classes starting. People are probably waiting outside. I think we've rambled for too long. Thank you all for tuning in. We'll keep it going and getting better little by little each episode. Thank you, Senat, for the work on the dashboard.
Yes, I know.
George, Doug, and we'll see you on the mats if you're in training this week. The Shopify store is launching. We're going to have, is it launched yet?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's good to go.
up, yeah.
Yep.
It's good to go. It's a work in progress, but it's good to go. We have the bandana t-shirt,
DTJJC.shop.
dtjjc.shop.
Speaking
Supplements
code
will
there.
be there. Hopefully within a week, we have the infrastructure where you can order directly from our site to access the Designs for Sport line, one of the cleanest line of supplements out there. So yeah, awesome time spending with you guys. We'll see you on the mats, and if we don't see you on the mats, tune in next week. Hopefully we'll be here for another episode. Peace.
Take care.
Peace.